Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. So you should see a presentation and you should be able to hear me. Okay, and that should be good. So let us know through the chat if this is not working or you feel this is not working. So we have the second leg of this morning, and we have three different activities. The first activity is one introduction to what we call the FOMATPLAY corpus of interviews. So that will be brief. This is something that I put together with my colleague Patricio Santiago Guillan. Then I will share with you some of just scripts from these stories. Okay. So basically, this is an opportunity for you to come close with some of the stories that have been shared through these interviews. All right. So we will share just a few of them, just maybe 7 or 8 max. Okay. But remember, there is 100, and I will let you know more about that. And at the end of this session, this morning session, or early afternoon session, we will have an activity on the creation and implementation of a social media campaign. This will be led by Patricio Santiago Guillén and Pablo Muñiz Cegarra. So that will finish at around 2 o'clock p.m. Again, Madrid time, Rome time, Paris time. Okay. And then we will have just a 2 hour break there for lunch, and we'll be back again in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. Okay. So pretty much this is the sort of menu that we have right now. Okay. I'd like first to introduce you to I suppose, the rationale behind the stories. And sorry, I'm looking at the camera here. You guys are there, so I will try to switch my people here. Okay. So I will try to share with you. I started to talk about the motivations behind FOMATPLAY. And again, the reason behind this title is that there was a bunch of us that felt that freedom of movement was at play. So we thought that it had been challenged as a consequence of Brexit, and one, just right an exercise of our freedom to travel, live, and move around the European Union was challenged, not just because the decision of the UK to quit the European Union, but because these courses that were enacted to facilitate this process on the side of some of the ideologies behind just basically quitting the European Union back in the day. Remember, the referendum was in 2016, so unbelievable that it's already 9 years since the referendum date. So I can see some of you guys are really young. So probably how old were you? I don't know, just 10 years, maybe 9, 11 years. It's crazy to think that just 9 years ago, there was these courses that facilitated or created you know, the mind state that facilitated that the UK could just leave the European Union. Again, that was, of course, later implemented, but the referendum was back in 2016. So as I said earlier, FOMATPLAY is a bunch of people that probably because we felt that we are very sensitive to discourse analysis, and these courses, we felt that what was prevailing back then behind Brexit was the fact that there was a very powerful sort of institutional or public mass media discourse around the notion that European Union citizens / migrants were, in a way, milking benefits. That was the main argument behind the Brexit. So the European Union citizens were milking away just the resources from the UK citizens or the UK back then. So the motivation again is just to try to contribute these courses of real people exercising real rights, such as the right to move around, live, work across the European Union. What you can see there, this is just nothing. This is just two, three examples of the sort of newspapers that you could see back then in the in this pre 2016 Brexit referendum, and the things that were said about EU citizens back then, specifically about EU citizens, not just migrants, but the framing of European Union citizens as the main reason behind the lack of investment. Remember the red bus, this infamous red bus for the Leave campaign that said, now we can spend 300 million pounds every week on NHS. Well, you know how that story goes, to be honest, right? So the NHS is a massive, huge crisis, and the new immigration rules that are thought to be implemented soon, but later are even more worrying, as most of the care workers that happen to be EU nationals that work, as nurses, for example, or they work in other areas of the UK National Health Service, will probably be banned from working in the UK. So again, it's all about these discourses and how these discourses are, at the end of the day, sold to the general public. But it is good that also Jacobo earlier on mentioned the European Union Treaty, and it is in the Article 2 of this treaty that there are some rights that are in a way sacred to the European Union, and there we can find, as part of this Article 2, that the freedom of movement, the freedom of expression, assembly, and freedom of religion are the central rights of the European Union citizens. And that, again, sorry to be insistent here, that includes the freedom to move around across the different countries in the European Union. Just to mention, yes, another equality among citizens, all EU citizens, including gender equality, of course. It is a core principle. The EU works to guarantee non-discrimination and equal opportunity. So we want to frame, this activity as part of this effort to make a very tiny or humble contribution to working towards those ends. So basically, the freedom of movement rights include the right to live in any EU country, to work in any EU country, to study in any EU country, and access to social services, and of course, what different countries call benefits, and the right to enter and to leave some of these, in this case, the 27 countries in the European Union, and the right to stay. As Jacobo mentioned earlier, there are some restrictions that in operational terms apparently are easy to overcome, as you can show evidence that, for example, you are actively seeking for employment. If you show that you are seeking for employment, you have the right to stay in that country, for example, just to give you an example of implementation of those rights. So what we have done is we have put together, as I said earlier, just 100 interviews. These 100 interviews were recorded by the different member teams in the three countries, in France, in Italy, and in Spain. And it is basically thanks to the generosity of the people that were interviewed that this was made possible, all right? These interviews, for the sake of availability and to make sure that these are available to any citizen or to any researcher or member of the general public that want to access these interviews, can be checked out in the repository of the University of Murcia. So we make sure that This does not depend on the funding of particular projects, but this is part of the legacy of the whole team here and the universities that are part of the project. We also sought the permission and, as I said earlier, the generosity of the interviewees, not only to record them, but to share the recording. And we feel so thankful for this one, right? So it is them that made this possible, right? So we have around, let me give you just a breakdown in very general terms. We have some 30 nationalities, not only the 27 EU nationalities, we also have people from the UK. We have people from Ukraine as well that were interviewed for the project, given the situation in which this project has been happening lately in the last 3 years. 60% are women in the interviews, and the way the different just national corpora display nationalities also has to do with the way different countries, for example, just have a different sort of menu of nationalities, EU nationalities that are available. So, for example, in the Spanish corpus, we have 9 Romanian nationals, 7 Italian nationals, and 6 German nationals, right? So later this afternoon in the Spanish roundtable, we will find people from these 3 nationalities. So we will find 2 Italian nationals, 1 German national, and 1 Romanian national. This is not the case in other subset of the corpus. In the French corpus, for example, we only find 1 Romanian citizen, right? And only 2 Italian citizens, and only 1 German citizen. And it is in the French corpus where we'll find the widest representation of different nationalities. So there is so much more variety in terms of where these EU nationals come from. And there is no one single nationality that emerges as overrepresenting a particular member of the European Union. In the case of the Italian corpus, just comparing, we find only 1 Romanian citizen there, but we find 6 French nationals in the Italian corpus that also reflect the presence of French people in the area of Naples mainly. 3 Greek nationals as well, or 3 Polish and 3 German. So as you can see, just there is a representation of different nationalities, but the representation does not sort of mimic one single simple research sample criteria. So each different subcorpus represents different realities in terms of the members of different countries and EU countries that are found in a particular EU member, as is the case of Spain, France, and Italy as well. So you can find these stories in FOMATPLAY.eu. Okay, so I want to tell you something about this website. So this is not available to everyone straight away. You have to register here. And to do that, you simply click sign in and then click sign up. Okay, so this is something that you need to do if you want to access these interviews. We provide 2 levels of access. One is for researchers and the other one is for the general public. So signing up as a member of the general public is really pretty straightforward. You just simply provide your personal details, your email address, and if I remember well, boom, you're in. If you want to register as a researcher, there is the administration team that really needs to validate that your email address is one from a university or a research center. The main difference is that if you are a researcher, you can also download the annotated transcriptions that we offer. We assume that most people that want to check out the interviews don't really want to use these courses to do research. So that is the implication. So we try to make this easy for most of the people. And also we wanted to in a way offer at least these it's registration sort of wall, so that anybody that wants to access the interviews really has to has to register there. If you happen to have any problems with signing up, please let us know. You can use my email, or you can use any email of the members of the team, or you can use social media to let us know if you experience problems, or you are, for some reason, not having access. Again, if you register as a researcher, this may take uh, a few hours or even a day. That pretty much depends on the administration team that has to validate the email address basically there. Okay. So also the website gives you more information. The website gives you access to the different teams, also to the advisory board of the project. And on top of the website that you can see there, you have a help option there. This gives you access to a YouTube video that shows you how to sign up. So again, if you have problems trying to sign up, we give you more help there. And also, you can have access there on top of the website. You can find something along news and activities. So this is the website where we sort of kind of drop um, like all the activities and relevant information around the project. So for example, this is the website that I'm talking about here. So we have like a news section where you can find information about the project activities. And for example, now you can find information about this European Summer School, but also the conference in Granada soon, and other activities that will be implementing soon in the following weeks. Also, you can have also access to different activities like webinars that we organize, so that you can also know more about how we sort of try to understand these courses. And by the way, I invite everyone to I think it's at 4 o'clock. We have a very interesting talk. Yes, it's 4 o'clock by Professor Catherine Russo and Dr. Ariana Grasso from Laurientale in Italy, that will be talking about how the understanding of this transnational mobility, freedom of movement discourses has been conceptualized from a critical discourse analysis perspective. So that should be also a very interesting talk as part of the activities today. Okay, so again, just this is something that you can find. Yes, this is something that you can find right here. If you click news and activities, you can have access to this other website. Remember, this is FOMATPLAY.eu, so that should be easy to find there. Okay. So basically, is there a questions, or somebody would like to ask something about these access or this resource, or people online that want to share questions on this one? Madalena says, I'm trying to access, but it gives me an error. I found another way. Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, sometimes from my own experience, depending on your browser, sometimes you actually need to type www, and sometimes the browser will eat it or try to find the address. So depending on the browser and your machine, basically, but it should be easy to find. Okay.